早急に取り掛かるぞ。
East 1. The Dora is the 6 of dots. The player is north.
I'd love to see some tile drawing magic here.
Let's see how this battle unfolds. Look at that Dora. The player, one step in the right direction.
This hand is really beginning to come together.
The player, on a roll.
The next few tiles could make a huge difference.
The player, gaining momentum.
This is the point where skill really factors in.
Who's going to make the first call here? The player is already one tile to Tempai.
Nearly every draw has been an improvement.
Any calls on this to pass for now? Oh wow, and there's a call. Who's going to pull away from the pack? The player, Tempai. How are the players going to approach this hand? Deech. There it is, Deech. The player on the right decides to match the player's discard. The player on the right is playing cautious. Oh, making a move here. No one dares to make the first move. The player, can this hand withstand the heat?
The player across the table is assuming that it's an open weight. The player on the right won't be taking risks here.
The player on the left is on the defense against the player's Deech. Is this hand going to end quietly? The player can't quite get the job done on this hand. Deech chasing Deech.
This is a Deech shootout.
There's only one winner in a Deech shootout. Is this hand going to end in a draw? Nobody wins this shootout.
Two players are Tempai.
East 2, one counter. The Dora is the 8 of dots. The player is west. The player on the left is in first.
The point leader is not terribly far away.
This is not an easy spot to work around. The player, already 2 tiles to Tempai.
This hand is really beginning to come together.
This table is so quiet I can hear a pin drop. Things are at a standstill. Oh wow, and any calls on this time to pass for now. Ah, jeez! The player on the left, a very swift win off the wall.
That was a very quiet start.
East 3, the Dora is the 8 of cracks. The player is south.
Let's see where this hand ends up going.
The stage is set. Anything can happen. The player, one step in the right direction.
The next few tiles could make a huge difference.
Any call to pass for now. The player, first place is well within striking range. Another useless draw. What to do with this tie still holding back? The player, that's progress.
This is the point where skill really factors in.
The player, on a roll.
This hand is really beginning to come together.
The air is tense as the players take their turns. The player, is it time for still no calls? Decided to pass on that middle weight. The player, 2 tiles to Tempai.
The next few tiles could make a huge difference.
Deech. Uh-oh, East has declared Deech.
I'm curious to see if this develops into confrontation.
Will it be possible to catch up here? The player's going for it.
That tile made it through.
The air is very tense at this moment. Deech chasing Deech.
There are any number of responses here.
One step in the wrong direction.
That's a safe tile for the entire table.
Excellent evasive action. Oh wow, and there's a call.
The player on the right just...
The player on the right, here we have a con. The new Dora is 5 dots. The player on the right, here we have a con. Underside Dora. Ah, jeez! The player on the left, a very swift win off the wall.
This will be a repeat of East.
East 3, one counter. The Dora is west. The player is south. The player on the left is in first. Somebody needs to put a stop to this madness.
What's needed is a roan off the point leader.
Now, let's watch how things develop. Look at that Dora. The player, 2 tiles to Tempai.
This hand is really beginning to come together.
The player is already 1 tile to Tempai.
Nearly every draw has been an improvement.
Any calls on this time to pass for now? What's going to happen to this score gap?
Deech.
There it is, Deech. Oh wow, and there's a call.
That kills the Ikatsu.
The player on the left is on the defense against the player's Deech.
The player on the left is assuming that it's an open weight.
The player on the right is playing cautious. The player across decides to match the player's discard. The player, can this hand withstand the heat? The player, is there any way to turn the tables here?
The player on the right won't be taking risks here.
Chasing Deech.
This is a Deech shootout.
There's only one winner in a Deech shootout. The player can't quite get the job done on this hand. Ah, geez! The player on the left. What an incredible win off the wall.
This will be a repeat of these.
East 3, 2 counters. The Dora is the 9 of dots. The player is south.
This is a very challenging starting hand.
Is this a battle that can be won? What's going to happen to this score gap?
Maybe it is better to hold back without any south tiles visible.
Draws yet another simple. And he calls on this to pass for now. The player, is there any way to turn the tables here? The player across continues to discard simples. What to do with this still holding back? The player across discards another bam. This table is so quiet I could hear a pin drop. The player, 2 tiles to temp high.
This is the point where skill really factors in.
The player draws another Dora just like that. Things are at a standstill. The air is tense as the players take their turns. Who's going to make the first call here? The player, is it time for a still no calls? The player, 1 step in the right direction. The player across, and there we have the first call. The player, temp high.
Didn't Deech, as there's not much of a call left.
No. There it is. The player on the left takes a beating.
A very impressive finish.
The fight for first place is getting ugly. East 4. The Dora is Green Dragon. The player is East. Heading into the final hand of the match.
The player will win with a Mungon off the player on the left.
Well, it's hard to know just how this will turn out. The player on a roll.
The next few tiles could make a huge difference.
And he calls on this to pass for now. What's going to happen to this? What to do with this top still holding back? The player, 2 tiles to temp high.
This is the point where skill really factors in.
The player on the left makes a call out of nowhere. Look at that East win. The player, is there any way to turn the tables here?
This North could be kept as a safe tile.
The player on the left already calls a second meld. The player is already 1 tile to temp high.
This hand is very near completion.
Deech! My oh my, and there's the Deech!
I'm curious to see if this develops into a confrontation.
Will it be possible to catch up here?
The player across the table has discarded that tile.
Have things calmed down for the moment? Chasing Deech!
I'm curious to see if this develops into a confrontation. This red dragon could be kept as a safe tile.
How are the players? It's still no calls. Who will seize the win this hand? Excellent evasive action. Ah, geez! The player across. What an incredible win off the wall!
With a fine play, no doubt about it.
リズムダイヤをドラドラマニア
全然なってない。全てやり直せ。